Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। So we are doing chapter 10, where we are now on verse 5 actually. So 4 and 5, they go together, and Bhagwan has listed values, virtues, which he says at the end of verse 5, Matta eva prathak vidha bhutana matta evam, from me. From me alone, all these have come. And the idea of saying from me, if they have come, from him, if they have come, if we practice those virtues, then we will reach him because they have come from him. That is the idea of these two verses. And we saw buddhi, jnana, and asammoha, which is antaranga sadhana, internal, because buddhi, again, there is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Jnana also same. And then samoha is no delusion. Samoha is delusion. Moha is delusion. Samoha is extreme delusion. And asammoha means no delusion. And the sattvic buddhi is what needs to be practiced. And that is the buddhi which gives us perfect discrimination, because viveka is very, very much required. We saw even in the morning class that it is because of indiscrimination that we are unable to separate Jiva from Ishvara. So that's why this discrimination becomes very essential. And that Sattvic Buddhi alone can give rise to Sattvic Jnana. And Sattvic Jnana is that which sees the oneness in the multiplicity. And when you have that, when you have the vision of the oneness, then there will not be delusion. And delusion is to give reality to the projections, I told you. So when we project something on a person, situation, object, there is nothing wrong with Ishvara Srishti. This is a creation by the Lord himself. So there's nothing wrong, but I do project my likes and dislikes on it. And so that projections, those projections have to stop, or at least they must not be given that much reality that I get affected by those projections. Kshama, forgiveness. I told you a level of forgiveness where the person doesn't even think that something wrong has happened, or at least, okay, this thing has happened, but I forgive you. Forgive and forget is the best. And it is a blessing for ourselves. Forgiveness is not for somebody else. It is actually for us to keep our mind at peace. Because if I don't forgive, then I'm going to be seething in my mind. You know, this is what this person did. This is what this person did. So to calm the mind, all these virtues are leading to calmness of mind. And that calmness, peace in the mind is what is going to give rise to the final knowledge. And that's why these have to be practiced. So all of this is for ourselves. See, if we are told it's practice it for somebody else, we are probably not going to do it. But if it is being told it is for my own self, for my own good, then chances. So forgiveness is a quality where I am blessing myself. I'm blessing myself with peace of mind that I've forgiven and let go and just leave it now. Don't worry about it. Satyam, that which is thought, spoken, and acted upon is in alignment. That is what Satyam is, truthfulness. And truthfulness, we must understand where to speak truth if it is very necessary, and all those things I've explained. So Satyam is being true to our own convictions. Most of the people, they have something in mind and outside there. There's such people, Bhagwan in chapter 3, he calls them mithyachari, hypocrites, where people have desires in their mind, but outside they show as if they don't, or they don't act, then they're hypocrites. So Satyam is where I am true to my own convictions. Dhamma, Shama, control of the senses, control of the mind, extremely important. Because when the senses, if the senses are not kept under control, they will harati prasabham manaha. Chapter 3, Bhagavan has already said, if the senses are not kept under control, they will loot away the mind as the wind loots away a boat without a sail. So we cannot have that. We cannot have the mind looted away by the senses. Shama, peace of mind. I told you, Dhamma is when you do not, control of the senses is when you do not allow the object to enter your mind. The object never physically enters our mind, but it creates a disturbance in our mind. I don't have it. Why don't I have it? I should have had it. All these disturbances should not be created, no matter what object I see. And Shama is when the mind is not allowed to go out through the senses and the mind remains under the control of the intellect. That is the best thing, because the intellect is always guiding in the right direction. And if the mind listens to the intellect, and sometimes it is difficult, but if it does, then it is said to be under control. Sukha, Dukha, Bhava, Abhava, Bhaya, and Abhaya. These are the three pairs. In the first line, there were only single words. Now these are the three pairs. So both joy and sorrow, Sushtu, good space, come is space, good space, bad space, that is in our mind. And both of them have come from the Lord, which the takeaway for us is, if it is happiness that I get, joy, because of my own karmas, whatever happiness and sorrow I get is because of, first of all, my own karmas from my past life, and no blame game, no blaming the Lord. But recognition that, okay, this happiness has come, thank you, Lord, and this sorrow has come, yes, it has come from you alone, and I know you will give me the strength. So the remembrance of the Lord in both the pairs of opposites is what is required here. Bhaya, bhava, bhava, presence, absence, birth, death. These should not be affecting us in any way. They have come from Paramatma, from Ishvara himself. Fear and fearlessness. I told you there are certain things that we must be fearful of. Fear of God, fear of doing wrong, fear of dharma, fear of, following rules. All those types of fears we must have. Fearlessness doesn't mean that I think that I'm Brahman and nobody can do anything to me, so I just go away and do whatever. That is stupidity. So fearlessness means where you have a conviction, and if people are telling you that no, that is not to be done, then there is where fearlessness is to be. This thing. See, long time ago, I was in an accident as a stop sign there on Kent, and I hit that girl. I actually hit. It was my fault. Fine. And I realized it was mine. So I went ahead and I stopped because there was a four-way stop sign. So I went and stopped there. And I was waiting for her to come, except she didn't come. She just went away. And I thought, oh, wow, she hasn't come. There was no damage to my car. I don't think there was any damage to her car either. But anyways, so I came home, and 2 days later, I got a call from the police saying that you were in a hit and run. The person has filed a complaint, police complaint, that you hit her and you ran away. And I said, no, I did not run away. I had stopped there and she didn't come. She just went away. So I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have her license plate number or anything. And there's no damage to my car. So I did not report it to ICBC because there is no damage. So just like it was stop sign. So then they said, ma'am, then either you pay a fine, you admit and you pay a fine, or it'll go to court. So I said, is it a criminal case or a civil case? He said, civil. I said, no, I will go to court. I will not pay the fine because I know that I'm in the right. I did wait there. There was a stop sign. I crossed the stop sign. I waited there, and I'm going to go to court. Now, when I phoned a lawyer at that time, the lawyer told me for one day it'll be $1,000, which I didn't have. So my husband said, you're a lawyer, so you go fight your own case. And in all this, then there was a date, and I won the case. I went, the judge was really, really nice. He was a very senior judge, and he completely agreed with me and everything. But in between there, one of my friends said, oh, what are you doing? Why don't you just pay the $500? And see, now that is not this thing. That there you have to be fearless. If you have done right, if you know that you have not done wrong, then go to the court. Go to court. That fearlessness we must have. That is what that fear. But if I would have just really run away, fearing that, oh, she'll do something, then that type of fear I must have. I should not run away. I know I've hit her. So that's why this fearlessness and fear should be understood correctly. So when you know that you are right, then there is nothing to worry. Then you fight it to the very end. So I went to the court. I'd never seen the court, but I went. This was very early, 40 years ago almost. And anyway, so that is how fearless this is. Then we were on ahimsa. I told you, himsa, violence, ahimsa, no violence at the body level, speech level, mind level. Even at the level of the mind, we must never think ill. Oh, let bad happen to this one, let bad happen. That sort of things, we must not think even in the mind. So ahimsa is not just like physically, we will not hurt anybody. Speech, abusing, verbal abuse. As spiritual seekers, we must avoid all this. Ahimsa also gives peace, right? So ahimsa is something. Then the next, now we are done till ahimsa. Samata. Samata is a quality which is in and through Bhagavad Gita. Samata is the opposite of mamata. Mamata is attachment, ego, mine, this mine, that mine, that mine. So equanimity, Bhagwan has actually talked about equanimity right starting from chapter 2. Sukha dukhe same krutva. Then in chapter 9, nirdosham hi samam brahma. So equanimity in the pairs of opposites, that is what is required. Knowing, and here, if you were to take the context only of this chapter, knowing that the pairs of opposites, there are only 3 pairs, but it includes actually all pairs of opposites that you see have come from him. So just for this chapter, if you were to take samatha, all the pairs of opposites have come from him. And knowing that through knowledge, I remain equanimous. So if it was reference of chapter 9, then if Brahman is Sama, then I want to become like Brahman, then I should imitate him. We imitate all these film stars and this and that, but we should imitate. So if Brahman is Sama in all situations, then I should try to remain Sama. And in chapter 2, if we were to take the reference, he has told Arjun that remain Sama, remain equanimous in Sukha Dukha and Jaya, and then intellect. So at all 3 levels. So things happen to the body, things happen to the mind, things happen means people hurt us or whatever said something. Remain equanimous. So equanimity is what Bhagavad Gita is all about, actually. Equanimity. And then if karma yogi, if you are a karma yogi, then equanimity while doing the action and equanimity when the result comes. Knowing that that result is not entirely dependent on my actions, but they are dependent also on actions that I've done in the past. And I cannot help those actions. So knowing that Ishvara alone is the karma phala data. Ishvara is the one. We must not think that I acted and I am the one who is getting this result. I am the one who is getting the result, but I have become, I'm the cause of that result. We must not think. Cause is always Bhagwan, Ishwar, and Ishwar is not giving out result randomly. He is giving out result as per our karmas from the past, which we have no clue. Just like when you write the paper, the examiner is giving you marks based on what you've written in that paper. So what we have written in our past lives on our paper, we don't know. So samatha, that's what samatha is. So samatha also, he says, equanimity, very, very important. Tushtihi, contentment. This contentment word also is very important. Contentment is not being rich. Contentment is not having many, many things, but contentment of mind is being happy in whatever that I have. Whatever situation that Bhagwan has put me in. And the Bhakta says Bhagwan, but if we were jnanis, if we are in the jnana marga, then we must know that it is not Bhagwan. My own actions have put me in this situation. Okay. A devotee will say, Bhagwan, you put me in this situation. Now I'm happy. It's your day. That is bhakti. But if we were to go jnana marga, then whatever I have done in the past, Karma, that those karmas are what has given me this result. So, okay, accepting that, knowing if you want to do it through bhakti, say, Bhagwan, you have given me this situation and I accept. If jnana, then say, okay, but being happy in whatever that there is, whatever that we have. So that's why, contentment can be with a person who is a realized master, so he's living on the street and he's still content only. But for us, whatever that we have, not like every time, you're in a one, then you are, oh, I wish I had two bedrooms. I wish I had another bedroom. wish I had this. That sort of feeling, because again, that is taking away the peace of our mind. So be content in whatever that, not contentment also doesn't mean that you, suppose if you're in a job situation and there is a promotion coming up, it'll give you a raise in, your paycheck and all. Of course you apply for it. Of course you work for it. Okay. Contentment doesn't mean that, oh, I'm content, with this. So it's okay. I won't apply for that. Not like that either. Okay. So contentment is to be happy in whatever situation that I am in. That is what is, and it's not more. It's not moreism, like if I have more. There are people who are very, very rich. When I was reading this, I remembered, Aaron Spelling, he's the TV producer. At one point, I had read that he had a mansion with 100 rooms. 100 rooms he had apparently in his man. He's the producer of all those soap operas, Dynasty and blah blah blue blue whatever. Anyway, so it doesn't mean that he's going to be content. Like he probably, he's got 100 rooms. He's thinking, oh, that some other person has got. I know RBC CEO way back. He said, he made like million or 2 million or something, but he said my counterpart made 5 million. Now I have to make 5 million next. So you guys work hard telling us. So, contentment is, it's a state of the mind, and it doesn't depend on any external situations. Okay. Or this thing. Tapaha and danam. Tapas, we have talked about it. Tapas is in regards to our own self, and dana, charity, is with regards to keeping others in mind. So tapas is, now Taittiriya Upanishad also we are seeing kriyatmak tapas is there and vicharatmak tapas is there. So at our level here, kriyatmak means fasting is tapas. Mainly what tapas is for a spiritual seeker is to go against our negative vasanas. See, we have vasanas which are now creating thoughts in the mind and desires in the mind, and then we are acting. So if that action is not maybe conducive to my health, not a good action, or, then to go against that. So if I'm used to sleeping late, then getting up early becomes tapas, because my vasana is to sleep late in the morning, and now I'm trying to get up early. As spiritual seekers, it is said that the morning time is the best time. So get up early, do your prayers, do your this. So going against negative vasanas is actually real tapas. And then also Raman Maharshi in Updesh Sar, he has advised that the greatest tapas, as per him, he says, this is my opinion, greatest tapas is to think, because we have been thinking I am the body, mind, intellect. So the greatest tapas is to now go against that. I am not the body, mind, and intellect. Thinking like that becomes the greatest tapas. So tapas is always with ourselves in mind. Now, what does tapas do? Tapas does not give knowledge. Direct knowledge tapas cannot give, but it gives us willpower. It allows us to think that this is, means if I think, oh, this is something I could not have done, tapas will make you do it, and you'll know that it is possible. So something that I thought I could not do, I've given you this example before, I think. Mahashivratri fast, when I was in the ashram, there was only bananas and milk. And first year, I thought, my God, how am I going to do this? But I had no choice, because the other choice was to ask my mom to come and bring me food. And I said, no, let's try. So I tried it, and now I know that I can do it. So you try something, the first time it is maybe difficult, it is real tapas. afterwards, you know what? It is not even tapas anymore for me. I'm so used to just doing that fast only with those two things, right? So it is not tapas anymore. It has become very, very easy for me. So in the beginning, tapas you will find it hard. Getting up in the early morning now, I can't, I can't. So but if you force yourself, so with tapas, you can begin with suppression. Tapas also is even control of the mind. Tapas also includes control of the mind. See, control of the senses and mind also falls under tapas. Okay, so when my mind is not under control, so the one way of doing that, so they're intertwined. I suppress first. There are two words, suppression and sublimation. So I suppress the mind first, and then the result that comes out of it allows me to sublimate the next time that situation comes, because that good result will come. So first it's a force. See, if you force the mind or the senses not to do something, there will be a time when that thought will come up in double strength. You push something down like a spring, you release, it just comes up. So suppression followed by sublimation, knowing the result that that suppression gave me. Do you understand this? That is what control is. Control of mind. And that is what tapas is. That is also tapas. Falls under tapas as well as control. Control also in the form of a choice, can be done in the form of a choice. Give the mind a choice. Do you want to do this? And then, for a little amount of pleasure, the guilt is way higher, way more. So give it a choice that last time you did this and then you felt guilty for so long. Do you want to really do this for this much pleasure? Don't do it. That sort of thing is there too for control. That also becomes tapas. That each time you suppress, you do tapas for your own self. And then you come to know that, yeah, I can live without this. Two things happen with tapas. One thing is I can live with the thing which I thought, oh, I cannot live without this, you'll know that no, you can live without that thing. And you can also do if that thing is not in your life or you don't do it. So that is why tapas. And tapas gives purity of mind, does not give knowledge. So we see that in the life of Parvati ji. She did a lot of tapas for Lord Shiva. And she got Lord Shiva, tapas, as a result of that. The Tulsi Ramayana, this portion comes in. So she did get Lord Shiva, she did get married to him, but she didn't get the knowledge. But by that time, her mind had been so purified that when he told her about Sri Ram, when he told her about Ramayana, she understood, which she had not understood in her previous birth as Sati. She was Sati, and she didn't understand. She thought Lord Shiva was lying. Rama was lying. He was a hypocrite. That's what she thought. So then she gave up her body for any other reason. And then she came back. She took rebirth as Parvati. She wanted to marry Lord Shiva. She did a lot of tapas. And that tapas gave her purity. So tapas also gives us purity of mind. Because then we come to know that I can do this thing and then the mind is at peace. Dhanam is charity. Charity is to be done devaluing the stuff. See, if I do charity, yeah, you need it, and now I'm giving it to you. So what I have done is I've maintained the value of the thing that I'm giving because that person needs it. So there is value to it, right? That person what charity, the way charity should be done is it should be considered as our need. It is my need to give. Then it will not give you arrogance. Otherwise, charity can give arrogance. You think, you're the one that is helping the other person, and then that person cannot survive without my giving him. There was the Muslim saint Rahim who always, he was a rich man. He used to give alms, whatever charity he was doing, and he never met the eye. He never looked at the person he was giving to. He would always look down. And he was asked, why are you ashamed? because when do we look down? We look down. If I'm ashamed to meet the eyes of the next person, I'll look down. He was asked, why are you looking down? He says, I feel ashamed. He said, why? You are the one you're the giver. He says, no, Bhagwan is the giver. God has given me all this that I'm giving, and people think I'm the one that is giving. So it is not. So we also must have that attitude that God has given me this, and because of this only I can do charity, and that is why I'm doing charity. Not that I get name and fame and this and that and everything. So that is why charity. So charity with respect to other people, tapas with respect to our own self, both are essential. We must do some sort of tapas as spiritual seekers, definitely, whatever you're not doing, and now as a spiritual practice you take on, like say you're not doing japa, now you do japa, whatever, it's up to you. Fasting is there, that you do, that becomes tapa. That has come from him. Danam, charity, also has come from him. Yasha and ayasha, success and failure, this is again a pair of opposite, which has come from him. Understand that behind whatever success that I get is it's his hand. Failure, if it has come, then that also um, is a thing for me to work even harder to get success. Failure, in life, when you're frustrated with things, then that, because success and failure mean different things to different people. The one who wants to become rich, then if he doesn't become rich, he thinks he has failed, that way. So whatever, one who is trying to achieve, maybe lose weight, achieve some sort of body strength, or Iron Man, win the Iron Man, and you've got all these kinds of things, right? So success is that, but success is in gaining, for spiritual seekers, where the mind is at peace. That is what success is. And if the mind is not at peace, then no matter how much successful you're in the external world, you may be a leader, you may be a great person, you may be a CEO, whatever that you are, but if your mind is not at peace, and if it is frustrated, then it is ayash only for spiritual seekers. That's very, very different for ordinary people. Okay, those who are ignorant, for them it is. But we are studying Bhagavad Gita. This is what Bhagwan is saying, that both these things have come from me. Recognize my presence in all of these. And that recognition is what then will take us to him ultimately. So these are practices for us, because now Bhagwan is going to explain his vibhutis. I told you in this chapter, it is all about his vibhutis. So if we have to understand even those vibhutis, gross vibhutis, okay, not subtle. Subtle, though we need a lot of purity to understand subtle, that chapter 7. Now, even though we have to understand even this purity is required. To understand vibhuti, also a certain level of purity is required in the mind. Okay, so these are, so bhavanti bhava bhutanam. So all these different kinds of qualities of beings, beings. Okay, so these are all qualities, no? Virtues, values. So all these have come from me, and idea is, if you try to practice, maybe not all, maybe one or two, whatever, practice control of them. All these, to a certain extent, we must do. Try to develop more and more sattva, number one. Then what happens is, once we develop more sattva in the mind, then as a result of that sattva, that control comes easy. Control of the senses, control of the mind, because when the buddhi is sattvic, it tells you, I told you, sattvic buddhi is discriminating. One is sat asat vivek, which is high, but shreya preya vivek becomes very sharp. In a sattvic buddhi, what is good for me and what is pleasing for me. And then there will be chance of you letting go of the pleasing thing. What is pleasing to my senses, you can let go. You'll be able to let go. So all these, then control of the mind, everything will be easy. Sukha dukkha, whatever comes, acceptance will become easy, because sukha dukkha is coming to us, na? Joy and sorrow, we have to accept both. not getting too proud, arrogant in sukha, and not getting too depressed in dukkha. So that acceptance will come. Birth and death, bhava, presence. Today there is money, tomorrow there may not be money. Today there is fame, tomorrow there may not be. Birth and death that constantly is happening in our life. So all that, and then fear and fearlessness. That'll also, fearlessness will come because Brahman is fearless. So we also need to be fearless, but we need to understand where a certain amount of fear is required. All right. Any questions? Clear? Okay. So we'll go to the next one. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastata madbhava manasa jata yesham loka imam prajaha. The seven great rishis, Maharshaya Sapta, seven great rishis, the ancient four and also the Manus, possessed of powers like me, were born from my mind. From them are these creatures in the world originated and sustained. So, Mad Bhava Manasa Jata is from Jayate, born. So all these were born from my sankalpa, mental sankalpa. See, in chapter 9 also what he said was, I am the father and I am the mother, right? I, as the father, plant the seed in Prakriti, who then creates. So the idea is here in this verse, this whole entire creation has come from me. Just by my mental sankalpa. If you see Bhagavad Puran, they say Brahmaji, he just thought, he meditated. And then the creation came. What did he meditate on? He meditated on previously, how did I do this? That's why creation is a cycle. So previously there was a creation. So he meditated, how did I do that? Like we do, if I have to make something, oh, how did I do this last time? Cooking, simple. Then I meditate, I think, oh, this is how I did it. And then I do it. So Brahmaji also, here also he says that just my mental sankalpa, I don't have to actually do anything. Just in Aitareya Upanishad, also it begins with Sahaya Kamayat. He desired and then he created. So desire is where? Desire is in the level of the mind. Desire is not at the physical level, right? So in the mind, and then he became many. So he wanted, he was humorously put, he was bored. And then he thought, oh, I need somebody to play with. So then he created. So he created from where? From me only. I only became many. That's what he says in Aitareya. So Upanishad says, so same way here he's saying all this. So the seven Maharshis, these are all the, you objectively, you can take them as people. Maharshi, so these are these rishis. And then Manu, the four Manus. Four Manu is because the four yugas are there, right? So each yuga has got a one Manu. And so the four Manus, they have come from me. But subjectively speaking, the Maharshas, Sapta, seven, is the seven sense organs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So these are the apertures. So sense organs. That is what is represented by the seven. Sapta Maharshi are the sense organs. And four Manus is the mind, intellect, memory, and ego. That is the four things. So subjectively, all of us, even if we studied in Tattva Bodh also, first there was Ishvara, then there Maya came. Maya, created the five elements. And then from the five elements, the sattvic aspect, the rajasic aspect, the tamasic aspect, all this creation has come. So everywhere we have seen this. This is he's saying, and the idea again, first that 4 and 5 verses, all the qualities of beings came, but beings also came from me. That's the idea, that beings also have come from me. That means if you inquire into the beings or into the qualities, if you follow the qualities, if you inquire into the beings, if you inquire into your sense organs, you must reach me. I've given you the example, 100 gold ornaments. If you inquire into any ornament, the smallest one or the biggest one, you must necessarily reach gold. That is what he's trying to tell here in 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Now he explained 4, 5, and 6. He explained how everything has come from him. Now what he says is, this is important verse 7. All verses are important only. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mamayo meti veti tattvataha so vikampena yogena yujjate natra samshayaha. He who in truth knows these manifold manifestations of my being, macrocosm, and this yoga power of mine, microcosm, becomes established in the tremorless yoga. There is no doubt about it. Okay. Now, let's see. So the last word, tattvataha, in essence. In essence, that is the meaning. So we have to understand him in essence. So we first understand what is essence. What does he mean, essence? So essence means the Sanskrit word for essence is tattvam. Tattvataha is in essence. That's what he's saying. In essence, you understand me. Means understand essence. Essence is tattvam. So tattvam is made out of two words. Tat and then tvam. Together when they join, when the sandhi happens, it becomes tattvam. So tat means that and tvam means you. Tattvamasi, we have heard that. So when it is said, when you understand, when a person understands me in essence, it means that person has to understand tat as well as tvam. Then it becomes tattvataha, tattvam. To understand tattvam, you have to understand two things, tat and tvam. Now, with respect to this chapter, tat means yoga. See, this is the vibhuti, na? And tvam means vibhutis. That is what. So, with respect to just this chapter, recognition of the yoga sthiti as well as recognition of the vibhuti sthiti, both together mean understanding me in essence. So it is not enough that I understand only chapter 7, because that is yoga sthiti he explained there. And it is not enough to understand only vibhutis sthiti. You have to understand both. That is the thing here. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yove. Vibhutim yogam means etam, this way, vibhuti plus yoga sthiti. Both that, if they are understood in essence, then what happens is he comes to the avikampena yogam. Vikampa is trembling, shivering. You know, kampna, Hindi mein there's a word, kamp rahe, sardiyon mein kamp rahe, right? We shiver. So this vikampa means shivering. So avikampa means no shivering, no shivering. So he reaches, the one who understands both this in a sense, he reaches this non-trembling yoga, natra samshaya, without doubt. There is no doubt. That is the general word meaning of this verse. Okay. The thing is, how do I do this? How do I understand in essence is what we need to understand here in this verse. A general meaning is that, but how do I do that? Okay. So one method is what is known as Anvaya Vyatireka. Anvaya is assertion and Vyatireka is excluding, negating. Vyatireka. Okay. In Anvaya Vyatireka, what needs to be done? First, we have to start with Vyatireka. We have to start excluding. That is exactly what we saw in Taittiriya Upanishad. What did Bhrigu do? Those who have heard Taittiriya Upanishad, but I'll explain. So what did he do? He meditated on the Annamaya kosha and he said, no, 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 I am not. So he negated. He did Vyatireka of Annamaya. Then he did Vyatireka of Pranamaya. Then Manomaya. So Vyatireka came first. Vyatireka has to always come first. So what needs to be done is negation of the not self. Not this, that's why neti. Man Upanishad use this neti. So no, world, no, this, I'm not the world, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the, that is Vyatireka. And then finally what Bhrigu did, he asserted, I am. If I'm not, then who am I? Then assertion, then Anvaya. So Vyatireka comes first, then Anvaya. Okay, then the assertion. So you negate all the layers of, the koshas. You assert yourself. But here, what Bhagwan is saying is you need to understand both. So in the initial stages, even though negation is done, once you assert yourself to be that pure consciousness, you must immediately also understand that whatever I negated is me alone. So there was nothing to be negated. That is what is meant by this word tattvataha. In a sense, you cannot, first of all, you cannot understand Brahman as, oh, there is Brahman and now I understood this is Brahman. That is absolutely not the thing. After assertion of Brahman, I am Brahman, but who knows if my neighbor is Brahman? That is also not correct. That is also not correct. So you negate to a stage where you negate means you transcend. Negate means transcend. That's what Bhrigu did. I told you. He understood he's not the Annamaya Kosha means he transcended. He transcended the Annamaya, the Pranamaya, the Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya Kosha. Whether he went there or whether he went and negated, we don't know. But he reached the Ananda, the Satchit Ananda. And at that point, there should be an immediate recognition of whatever that I negated is me alone. And that becomes then Anvaya Vyatireka together. Anvaya and Vyatireka. But with Anvaya Vyatireka, you cannot start with Anvaya. After you reach Anvaya, when you say that this world is me alone, suppose you start there. Okay? you assert I am this. This is just, without anything. This is what I've heard. Anvay, no, I'll do Anvay only. Na, the world is me only. Na. So what will happen is you will think that the world is meant for indulging, and then you're going to fall. You get into indulgence, you can never reach the pure consciousness. Indulging the senses. So that's why in the beginning, tapas is required. No, I don't want to indulge in this. I don't want to indulge in this. I don't want to give reality to this. I don't want to give reality to this, because this is all the not self. So Vyatireka, then Anvaya. Once you have that Anvaya, like Bhrigu, then you go back into the world, you will never indulge. Because you will always know that it is only a reflection of me and me alone. It is me only. This world is me only. How you will indulge in yourself? Where do we indulge in? In other things. We have given reality to all this world, and therefore we are indulging in that world. So that is one way. That is what is meant by tattvataha here. Okay. Another method, we have all these different paths. So there is Karma Yoga, there is Bhakti Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga, then there is Sankhya philosophy also. So Karma Yoga, if you're a Karma Yogi, then what you have to understand in Karma Yoga is what? What is Karma Yoga? Going beyond likes and dislikes, right? The first principle of Karma Yoga is to consider every karma, every action as a duty. And why do I consider every single Mai Sarvani Karmani Sanyasyadhatma Chetasaha? Chapter 3, Bhagwan has said, all karmas to be offered unto me, renounced in me. Okay. What does that mean? That means every karma, when I treat it as a duty, when it is a duty, I don't say, oh, I don't like it, I won't do it. What are we doing right now? What is karma? There's something that I like. Some karmas I like, some karmas I don't like. The ones that I don't like, I avoid. The ones that I like, I will go for. But if it is my duty to do something, so if I consider that karma itself to be my duty, then whether I like it or I don't like it, I will do it. And therefore, the sense of duty in Karma Yoga is taking us above likes and dislikes. So here, to understand Tattvataha, if we want to understand him in essence, so what is yoga? What is vibhuti? Is my like and dislike is vibhuti. Your yoga, because now we're in chapter 10, so it's yoga vibhuti. So vibhuti is my like and dislike, and beyond that is Paramatma. That is yoga. And to understand, so when I go beyond like and dislike, where am I going? I'm going to Paramatma. Because where is this like and dislike come from? Paramatma. So if I rise above likes and dislikes, there's only Paramatma there. There's nobody else. There's Ishvara there. So that becomes the yoga sthiti, and like and dislike becomes vibhuti. So in karma yoga, my understanding should be this like and dislike is this vibhuti of the Lord. I need to go beyond this. And therefore I do every karma as a duty. And then I go beyond likes and dislikes. So then I have understood this in Tattvataha. With Bhakti Shastra, what is happening is Bhakta, real devotee, everything is God only. So everything is Ishta Devata. So when he looks at the world, mountain is Ishta Devata, tree is Ishta, the stone is Ishta Devata, person he sees, whether that person may have enmity towards him. That's why in Adveshta Sarva Bhutana, chapter 12, Bhagavan will say, my devotee is one who doesn't hate anybody. Why won't he hate anybody? Because every time he looks at anybody, he sees his Ishta Devata only. How he can hate anybody? So the vibhuti, the person that he's seeing, he's going to Bhagavan from there. Anything that he sees, what is vibhuti? See, what is yoga and vibhuti? Yoga is the unmanifest experience of the Lord, and vibhuti is manifest, whatever is manifested. So when this bhakta is looking at the manifestation, which is maybe a person, situation is what is manifested. It's raining, it's snowing, whatever, that is a situation. Object, he goes straight to his Ishta Devata. So he goes to that yoga sthiti. From vibhuti, he goes into yoga sthiti immediately. So he has understood tattvata, that this is nothing but vibhuti of the Lord. That is what we have to understand. We have to understand yoga and vibhuti together. The unmanifest and the manifest. Okay. Now there is the Sankhya school of philosophy. Sankhya school they propound discrimination between Purusha and Prakriti. So Purusha is the seer and Prakriti is seen. So the seer is yoga sthiti and seen is vibhuti sthiti. That is yoga and vibhuti, seer and seen. Now they are constantly discriminating between seer and seen to an extent where they go to this, like everything they say, oh, that is seen, that is seen, that is seen, I'm the seer, that is seen, that is seen, everything, any person, object, situation, seen. They reach the seer and then they recognize that this seen is nothing but me. So vibhuti is nothing but my vibhuti, me only. My vibhuti means what? It's me. So that is Sankhya school. Through Sankhya, to understand this, to understand Tattvataha. And then, of course, we have our Jnana Marga, Advaita Vedanta. What is the highest discrimination that Bhagavan Shankaracharya has given us? Sat Asat Vivek. So the constantly this discrimination, what is real, really real, and not real, mithya, illusory. This constant discrimination, which will come, I told you, in a sattvic buddhi, this discrimination comes very easily. That is the idea of developing sattva in the mind. Why do I want to develop sattva? Because sattva is clarity, sattva is purity, sattva is knowledge. Rajas is activity and tamas is darkness, inertia. So sattva to develop is very, very important for us. As spiritual seekers, we must constantly try to develop this sattvic quality, which will give us that very sharp discrimination of what is really real and what is not. And so what should we let go? What do we let go? We let go the not self. And then by this discrimination, when we reach the self, we understand that all this not self is nothing but me and me alone. So that is what etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yoti cha, and vibhuti and yoga, my yoga, my yoga sthiti, my vibhuti only. Whose vibhuti is it? It's not somebody else's. It's mine. Yo veti tattvataha. The one, yaha, yo is yaha. The one veti knows, realizes, knows in essence. And the essence is tat plus tvam, where tat is yoga sthiti, tvam is vibhuti sthiti. Both these have to be understood correctly, which can be done through anvay vyatireka. So you negate first, which Bhrigu did, negated all the layers. He reached that. And at that point, he understood that all that whatever I negated was just me alone. me alone. Or you do it through karma yoga, you do it every action as duty, rise above likes and dislikes, understand that like and dislike is vibhuti, and what is beyond like and dislike is yoga sthiti. Understand it. Bhakti, yoga is Bhagwan. Whatever I see, object, person, this thing is vibhuti. Vibhuti is nothing but Bhagwan. It is my Ishta Devata, Bhakti. Purusha, Sankhya philosophy, Purusha Prakriti Viveka, seer seen. Reach the seer, you will come to know seen is nothing but the seer. And then Sat Asat Vivek, which is Advait Vedanta, what is really real and what is mithya. It is mithya, it is not false. But in the beginning, we have to falsify it, we have to negate it. And then once we reach, that's why realized masters, Shruti gives them the freedom. They, once you realize they have the freedom, they can go. We see, like Raman Maharshi, he chose not to speak. He said, I'm going to go sit in the cave. Okay, allowed. Tapan Maharaj said, I'm going to go sit on the mountain top. Okay, allowed. Vivekananda said, no, I'm going to go to the US and propagate. Okay, allowed. Because they know, Shruti knows that now they've realized they're not going to do anything wrong. Did he come to the United States to indulge in the Western world? He didn't. There is no question of indulgence afterwards for Gurudev. He said, no, I want to go teach. Okay, fine, go teach. So they have the freedom because they have understood yoga and vibhuti, they have understood in tattvataha. That is what Bhagavan is saying here. Now what happens is, avikampena, I told you, trembling, yoga, and then avikampena yoga. So yoga sthiti only is avikampena. What is vibhuti is vikampena. It is trembling, it is changing, it is shivering, right? Whatever that I see, the not seen, the asat or the seen is always changing. So that's why yoga, it is not vibhuti. Avikampa is yoga sthiti. It doesn't like Gurudev has given very simple lighthouse. You hold on to a lighthouse. Does the lighthouse tremble with the waves? Lighthouse never trembles. You hold on to the lighthouse, you will never shake. In chapter 9, also Bhagavan has said that once you realize yourself to be Brahman, Jiva, Brahma Aikya, then the greatest of sorrows will not shake you. That is what avikampena yoga means. So that means he will never ever fall from that pristine position. Once he realizes himself, that's why Bhrigu, we see in the case of Bhrigu came back to his father several times and finally he never came back because he realized there is no father, there is no mother. It is only me only. Everything is me only. Not in an arrogant way, but in the realistic way. So this is what avikampena yoga is. So once you discover yourself to be the support of all the tremblings that are happening. See, right now, I am so identified with the world, so much identified with the body, mind, and intellect that I think I'm trembling. Trembling means I'm shaking, the sorrow comes, I'm unhappy. Happiness, I told you in Vedantic terms, both happiness and sorrow, they're both tremblings of the mind. They're shaking. Mind is shaking. It may be shaking in a good way when I get happiness, and it's shaking in a bad way when I get sorrow, but shaking is there. Common shaking is there. So as long as I'm identified with the not self, there will be constant shaking, trembling. Vikampa will be there. Vikalpa word we have heard, right? Sankalpa, vikalpa. Mana is sankalpatmaka vikalpa. That vikampa is coming from there. Kampa means shaking. Kampa. Kampna. Hindi kampna is kampa in this thing. And visheshena kampa. Vikampena means visheshena, not vigata. Vishesha means very much trembling. Right now, we are very much up and down because we are holding on to the log of wood. Gurudev's language, we are holding on to the log of wood. So we are always, high wave comes, we're up, low wave comes, the wave that goes up always goes down. You watch, you stand on the beach. You have seen the wave only remaining up all the time? Impossible. Not possible. So it will go up and down, up and down. So you will also go up and down, but you hold on to this. Is Avi company is holding on to the lighthouse. And there is no doubt. Now, this is his promise. Doubtless, I'm telling you, Bhagwan is telling us that you understand both yoga sthiti and vibhuti sthiti by whatever means that you are comfortable with, but understand it in a sense, and you will reach me. And then you will realize that this whole world is nothing but my own reflection. That is what now he's going to explain the world, vibhuti. We're going to stop here today. Any questions? No? Okay. So next Saturday, Sunday, there is a class, but the following Sunday, it's a long weekend. So we will be taking a break for the Thanksgiving weekend. Okay. All right. So if there are no questions, then we'll close class for today. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्ति भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ